Welcome to 16th lecture of second chapter of this comprehensive machine learning, data science and artificial intelligence course. Now we want to start with this topic, loops in Python. Previous topic was in lecture 15 we had done this, that is asterisk args and asterisk args, that is how to pass arbitrary number of arguments and keyword arguments which make Python functions super powerful. But now these loops, because programming is also about flow of logic. So we have seen one earlier, if else or if else if etc. ladder. That is also one method of controlling the flow of logic. But here loops, they are also method of controlling the flow of logic. And every programming language will have loops. In Python, almost everything is achieved by two loops, either for loop or while loop. That means in one way you can say that there is no do while loop in Python. However, it is easy to mimic it using the while loop. So you can say that do while loop also exists. And there is no switch case default statement in the Python. That means it was not present until Python version 3.10. But in that version 3.10, a slightly different version, a different way of even that switch case default statement, that is also included. However, even when it was not there in earlier version of Python before 3.10, programmers found a trick to mimic the behavior of that switch case default statement using dictionaries. So we will now discuss about these topics. First, let us say about for loop. For loop is used when you want to execute a particular code, maybe one line of code or maybe entire block of code, a certain number of times. For example, one example is shown in this diagram, and let me put that example for a live coding also. So say this is a list, and the list is named numbers. Okay. Now, if I want to print all these numbers one by one, so I can use the for loop like this. For num in numbers. Now instead of num you can use any word, and here also whenever for loop the basic very beginning statement ends, you have to put the colon statement so that that indentation in the next line will be automatically print. And then I use that f string. You can use that plus symbol also, concatenation. We know that there are two ways in which you can mix the text and number. So current number is, I have chosen the f string approach. So current number is num, and then inverted commas, and then print is over. Now if I execute this, then it will one by one print current number is 1, current number is 2, 3 and 4 and 5 like that. Let us check. Okay, yes, numbers, sorry. So for number in numbers, so current number is 1, current number is 2, current number is 3 and so on. Now here you can see that this word can be any word. In fact, you can write x in numbers or I in numbers or even for a donkey in numbers. It will, Python doesn't care, but it is good to give a proper indicator word, because this list is list of numbers. So obviously what your loop is doing is one by one it is taking each number. So for num in numbers, print current number. Okay, and that the diagram shows something more also. So if I write this here, that means now I have unindented, or I have come out of that indented block, then it is out of the for loop. So for loop is over at that particular point. So in Python there are no curly braces, or there are no any other type of symbols to indicate that this block of code is over. Anything which is written with same indentation here below this also, suppose something is written with the same indentation, something here, then that would be also part of this for loop and so on. Okay. So for loop executes this same statement, how many times? Then as many times as you have specified in this list. But that is one way of executing for loop. And here this is one another example. Here we are giving another list, that is the list of colors, and we write for color in colors, print color. That will also work in exactly same manner. One by one it will take each color and print green, red, then green, then blue. Okay. Now you can check also that you can write here also num. Python doesn't care what you write. It will still print the colors only. Okay. So for num in colors, print okay, num I have used earlier, that is why the problem is arising. Say num1, suppose. For num1 in colors, print num1. Then Python doesn't care what you write there. It will still print red, green and blue. Okay. But again, it is indicator, it is better to use indicator word, that this is a list of colors. So you can write for color in colors, print color like that. Okay, and this call maybe it is I think it's okay, so fine. Sometimes if you use the word which is reserved word for Python programming language, then it is not a good practice, but call is not that type of word. Now this is the explanation, and that I have already explained. Now sometimes you don't have any list, but suppose you are given that print this same statement hello world for a specific uh, number of times. So then I can use for I in range 1 comma 11. Now this range is a specific special word. If you do not specify the beginning of the range, this one, then it assumes. So you can also write for Python for I in range 11, then Python will assume that your range begins from 0. But if you explicitly say 1 comma 11, then that means your range begins from 1. And then I write print say hello world. So it will print hello world that many times. Again, I have mixed up the quotes, so that is not allowed. You can either use double quote or you can use a single quote, but mixing of them is not allowed. So it has printed hello world that many times. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now that is important thing about this word range. So when you write range from 1 to 11, it means that 11 is not included. So that means it will print how many times? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it will print 10 times. So the last digit, whenever it is written range 1 to 11, that means it is range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is also one way of doing it. Okay, so both ways are useful. And as I said, you can also write this way for I in the range 5. Now here beginning of the range is not specified, like say 1 comma 5 or 0 comma 5. So then print I. So it will print the number from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember that 5 will not be printed. Let us check. And 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So if nothing is specified, then the range automatically starts from 0. Okay. Now I can check that if I write 0 comma 5, what result is obtained. Let me first clear the previous output, and let me check it. It should print the same thing, and it prints the same thing. So this was just a succinct way of writing that instead of writing 0 comma 5, you can just write for I in range 5. Okay. But I personally still prefer it is better to write explicitly, but it is your choice. Okay. So then the while loop. While loop. This is the flowchart of the while loop. That first you enter the while loop, and then a condition is tested. If the condition is true, then the statements which are written within the body of the while loop, and remember those statements will be indented because while loop also begins with a standard phrase while, then some condition and colon symbol. So as soon as that colon comes, if you press enter, rest of the statement would be indented. That would decide how much is the body of the while loop. So that body will be executed, and that once the body is executed first time, then condition is again tested. Then if it is still true, then the body is executed second time. Again condition is tested. If it is still true, then the body is executed third time, like that. Okay. As soon as the condition becomes false, so the condition comes in the while loop beginning statement itself. As soon as that condition becomes false, then while loop is executed. So that means the block of code which was outside while loop, say something is there here, say anything, that this block of code, then this line of code, then this line of code, all these things will start getting executed because condition must be satisfied to enter into the while loop. This condition must be satisfied. So actually same examples which we did earlier, same example which we did earlier, say for example this, for I in the range 1 to 11 print hello world. Okay, so that means I want to print the hello world 10 times. So can we do the same example using while loop? Then yes, I can do. I will set the number num equals say 1, and then I write while num is less than 11. Whenever condition is there, colon will come. Print hello world, and also do num plus equals 1. What does that mean? That we have seen, that means num equals num plus 1. That is, take the previous value of num and add 1 to it. Okay, so this is the code. Now why this color is having a problem? Yeah, again I am mixing the codes. I don't know why. So the color of will tell me that if I am making some mistake. So this means num equals num plus 1. So take previous value of num and add 1 to it and assign that new value back to the num itself. Okay, so I start with 1. So 1 is less than 11. So hello world will be printed. Then 1 will be incremented by 1. Okay, so 2 num will become 2. Again the condition will be tested. 2 is also less than 11. So this will become 3. Then again the condition is tested. 3 is also less than 11. So this will become 4. And every time this print hello world will be executed. And so on until after this num becomes 10. 10 is also less than 11. So this would be executed and then print hello world will be executed and then num will become 11. Now then this condition would become false. And condition will become false. So I can even write one statement that print out of while loop so that you can understand that you are now out of while loop. Okay. And let us check if it prints the same thing. It also prints the same thing hello world 10 times. So some people prefer to do it by for loop. Some people prefer to do it by while loop. It is individual choice. But both loops one has to learn. Okay. Now then this is also one example, but this time counting is occurring downwards. Here the num is increasing by 1. Here num is decreasing by 1. So count is equal to count minus 1. Okay, that is the meaning of that short form. I am writing in a comment just for the understanding. So count is equal to 5. You initialize with the count, and first the condition is obeyed. So 5 is greater than 0. So print count. It will be printed. But now the number will become decremented. So it will be 4. Still 4 is greater than 5. So again count will be printed. But number is decremented. So 3. 3 is greater than 0. Decremented. 2. 2 is still greater than 0. Decremented. 1. 1 is also still greater than 0. Decremented. 0. Now 0 is greater than 0 is false. So that time you will go out of the while loop. So this will print the word count as many times as you have provided this initially. So that 5, it will print count, not word count, sorry, I'm sorry. Word is, count is a variable which is being decremented. So it will print the number count, that many, which is being decremented. So 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. But in short it will print 5 numbers. Or how many times the while loop will be executed, then while loop will be executed 5 times. Okay. So this is the explanation of that. Now this is a practical example of searching of while loop. Searching in a list using while loop. So these are numbers and these are all odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And suppose someone says that find target. Okay, this 7. So find means inside list. Here remember when you are dealing with actual program, then list will not be visible like this. So at that time you cannot just count by looking at the list and then say that yes it is the fourth member, or fourth member means since index begins from 0, so it will have 0, 1, 2 and 3, third index. You can't calculate like that. You have to do something programmatically. So you do one thing, you initially analyze the initialize the index to 0. That means that is the index of this first element, and found is equal to false. Okay, if then you check this while index is less than len of this numbers list. Now what is the len of this numbers list? Then that would be 5. So while index is less than 5, that is index is either 0 or index is 1 or index is 2 or index is 3 or index is 4. And while not found, these are the two conditions. While that means not found means while found is equal to false. Found equals false if numbers index. Now this is the way in which we access individual elements of a list. For example, this is a list. If someone says access this first element, then we write numbers and then we write 0. Someone says access the second element has index 1. So we write numbers and this element can be accessed in this manner. So basically we are doing the same thing here. Numbers and whatever is the index. Index is initialized at 0 equals target. We are checking if it is equal to target. Okay. So for this first number 0, because initially you start with index 0. So number 0 will give you first 1 equals target. Target is equal to 7. So it will not be satisfied. This will be evaluated as false. 1 is not equal to 7. So as a result, what will happen? Found is equal to true and all this will not be executed. This if block will not be entered at all. Directly index will be incremented by 1. So you start with 0 index. Now you are you have incremented by 1. So now index is 1. Now you will again go to your while loop and check the condition of while loop again. So while index is less than len of numbers list. So while number index is now 1 and length of that list is 5. So if 1 is less than 5 and not found, then yes it is not found. So then numbers index. So now index is 1. So numbers first element is this element because index starts from 0. So 0 and 1. So numbers 1, that will be 3. Is it equals target? Checking. So no, 3 is not equals target. So I would have to again skip this portion and just increment the index. So my index is now 2. Again index 2 is less than 5, length of the list, obeyed, and still my target is not found. Okay. If numbers index 2, so numbers 2, now that is this number because index starts from 0, so 0, 1 and 2. So then numbers 2 equals target. So but numbers 2 is 5 and equals target is 7. So 5 is equal to target? No, it is not equal. Again this portion will be completely skipped and only this incrementation would be done. So now index is 3. Now when index becomes 3, it is still satisfying the condition 3 is less than 5. That is the length of this list. And still your target was not found in earlier iterations. So then if numbers index, now numbers 3, so this is numbers 0, this is numbers 1, this is numbers 2 and this is numbers 3. So these numbers will be 7 equals target. So 7, that is also same. So now this condition is satisfied. As soon as that condition is satisfied, this found, which is a boolean flag, which was by default set to false, now you have to set it to true because now you have found your element. So target found at index, whatever was the value of the index when that happened. So that was 3. So 0th, first, second and third. So during the fourth iteration, or that means when index became 3, at that moment this body of the loop will be executed and this will be printed, target found. Then of course it will further be incremented because once you go out of this if, then still this part is left. So after this index equals 4 has already occurred in previous iteration, now index will become 5. And now again this while loop will check that while 5 is less than 5, because len numbers is also 5 and index has become 5 and not found. But both conditions are now wrong actually. If we have found also and we have actually this index is less, no, our index was 4 I think. So 4 less than 5, that is still true. This part is true. But this part is not true because our flag is now set to true. Not found means while found equals false. Okay. So if found is still false, then you will have to enter into the while loop. But my found was set to true for index equals to 4. Okay. So in that case, I can just write. I mean I can just go out of the while loop, and then what will happen? This part, that is the part after the while loop, this would be executed. But suppose I pass through entire this while loop and all my index is exhausted. That is all the elements inside this list are checked. Index became 5 also and so on. Then in that case, and still this remains not found only because it may be possible that my target is not in the list itself. For example, this can be a number say 9 now or say 6. Now in that case target is not there. Then my while loop will be simply exited, and at that time this found would not be set to true. It will remain false only. Okay. So if not found, that means if found equals false, then print target is not found. Okay. So that is the one example in which you see the use of the while loop. And now print the statements here. That means they are within the body of this while loop, but they are out of this if block. So now let us see what happens, because actually previous I think kernel was executing. So now you can understand what is happening. Initially you have started with index 0 and found is equal to false. Then 0 less than len numbers. So 0 less than 5 and not found, that is also true. So you are entering here number 0 is equal to target. You are asking yourself. So no, it is not equal to target because number 0 is 1 and 1 is not equal to target. So this will not be set, this will not be printed, you will directly come here. Okay. So this much will be skipped because the if condition is wrong. Okay. So what will be printed? Index is 0, so 0 will be printed. What will be printed? Target is 7, so target will be printed. Now index is incremented by 1, so now index has become 1. Then 1 is still less than 5, the length of this list, and it is still not found. So if number index, so that is number in numbers first element. First element means this is 0th element and this is first element. So 3 is equal to target. So no, still 3 is not equal to target. So this condition is not satisfied and therefore these two will not be executed. Directly you will come out of the if block, but you are still within the while loop. So print index was 1. Okay, print target is still 7 only, and index incremented by 1. So index has now become 2. Again you go to the while loop. Okay, now then while 3, now index was 2, and 2 is less than 5. Len of this list is 5 and still not found. So you will enter into the while loop. If number index, so number 0, 2 numbers and index is 2. So that means 0, 1, 2. But equals target 7. No, this number is 5, this is 7. So this if block will be still skipped. And directly you will go in this part of while loop. So index will be printed. Okay. So then that means 2 will be printed and then target will be printed, 7 will be printed. Now this is further incremented by 1. So this has now become 3, index has become 3. 3 is less than 5, length of the list, and therefore that is true and still not found. So that is also true. So you are entering into the while loop. Now index numbers list its third element, 3 index element. So 0, 1, 2 and 3. But that element is 7, so this evaluates to 7. And target is also 7. So that means this time this if block is evaluated, its condition is correct, and therefore you immediately set your flag to true and print immediately the target found at index 3. And then you are still printing that index, you are printing the target, and you are incrementing the index. Okay, so 4 and so on. But if suppose this has a number like 6, okay, then I execute it, then 6 is not present at all. So this while loop will execute one time, 0th time, that is first time, second time, third time, and fourth time. Total 5 iterations will occur. But nothing will happen. This found flag will never be set to true because the number 7 target is not present in my list. So then what will happen? Ultimately, while loop will also be exited, and ultimately what you will see is target not found. Let us check. And you can see first index 0, target 7, but at index 0, no match. Index 1, target 7, but no match. Index 2, target 5, but no match. Index 3, target was 7, sorry, earlier. Index 3, target 7, but no match. Then index 4, 9 is there, but target was 7, again no match. So ultimately, you have traversed through entire list and nothing has been found. So that shows that your while loop fails to find the element. Okay, let me put that 7 back. Okay. Now, next time we will do this, Python's lack of do while loop and how Python still can handle that by simple a flag and boolean variable in while loop only, and then something more also, that switch case default statement. So thank you, and wait for the next lecture for the continuation of discussion about loops.